The best way to learn a new technology and to build very solid concepts and fundamentals around that technology, and even the most easiest way to learn a new technology and have all those concepts clear, is by doing a project. Because when you do a project, you get to understand the actual use cases of all the features, functionalities that you are learning. And secondly, you also get to understand what small challenges you may come across while you're trying to use those features and functionalities. It's like, getting into it with a particular practical use case. And that's when you actually get to encounter those small challenges that you may not just get in theory even once you're reading about those features, functionalities. So when you're reading something in book, when you're listening to something in a lecture, on a YouTube video, it all seems good. The problem comes when you start using those, when you start implementing those. So I personally feel that, the best way to go about a technology and learn it end to end is do a project, try to implement all those features, functionalities that you are possibly going to learn through that particular project. And with that concept only, we are going to build a complete end-to-end application using Salesforce, which will be a hotel reservation app. I built this hotel reservation app a few years back, and I have posted videos, and I usually keep on getting a lot of requests around because it was done quite a while ago, and it was possibly done in Salesforce Classic. So I have got several requests around doing that again, maybe in a little more with a little more advanced features, functionalities, involve some LWC concepts into that, and do it in the Salesforce Lightning. So I am going to do it again based on the popular demand that I have been getting. So let's quickly understand what are we actually going to build in this particular app. So this is going to be an app, unified app, which we are going to build for a group of hotels. So let's assume that we have this Wisden group of hotels, and they are primarily into they have a chain of hotels, and they are currently struggling with managing the room bookings and the reservations of the rooms, etc. And they want to manage it properly, and for that they need an app. And we are going to build that app using Salesforce, the force.com platform in Salesforce. Okay. So before we get into building things, before we get into the next steps, let's also understand at a high level what all they need. So this is basically about Wisden group of hotels, and you need a unified app for efficiently managing all their bookings and day-to-day operations. So primarily they are looking to manage their properties. So as I said, this is a group of hotels, so they have multiple properties, so they would definitely want to manage all the properties from one single app. Each property has got its different rooms, so they would want to manage the rooms as well, which rooms are booked, which rooms are available. If there are booked rooms which are cancelled, then that should be managed. So if you try and understand, there is a lot of logistics around it, right? So a hotel will, let's say there are 500 rooms in a hotel, and if the same hotel chain has got 10 hotels, so 500 into 10 is 5,000 rooms. So managing logistics around those 5,000 rooms, which room is already booked, which dates it is booked, what time the guest plan to arrive, if there are special requests and all that stuff. So there's a lot of logistics which need to be managed around it. It's not very simple. So yeah, that's what we are basically going to help Wisden Group to achieve using our Salesforce app. Yeah, so we will cut this part, that's fine. So yeah, we are going to help Wisden Group of hotels to manage all these things using the Salesforce custom app that we are going to build. Along with the rooms, they also have different room types. They want to manage different room types. There are rooms for staying, there are meeting rooms, etc. Then they also want to manage an overall inventory. Inventory is basically, as I said, the overall available rooms or meeting spaces, plus what is available, what is booked for what date, what time. Meeting spaces, etc. may be booked for, say, shorter durations as well. So those things, etc. In addition to managing details around the properties and the rooms, the hotels are also required to manage a lot of details around the guests. So for example, if there are 4 people, so every time you check in into a hotel, you would have noticed that they try and capture details about you or all the guests who are basically going to be occupying that property or staying in the property. So they also need to they also want this application to help them manage the details of the guests. They want to keep a complete track of reservations, up to date, and this should be updated on a real time. Doing it in Excels, etc., will be very difficult for them. So if this app can keep all the reservation up to date on real time, that would be great for them. That will help them do the bookings, take new bookings, maybe cancel the bookings, and then again make those rooms available where the bookings have been cancelled very easily without much of a hassle. Then of course there would be details around the check-ins, check-outs, specifically what time the guest checked in, checked out, etc. Cancellations, I already spoke about it. And they want all these things and a lot more from the single unified app. And we are going to build the entire functionality in the app that we're going to build. Okay, now the important part. So while we build this app, what will you learn in this process? So there are a lot of things which we are going to learn, because this is what I was talking about, that when we are doing an end-to-end project, we understand the entire journey, from where it starts, how does it work, etc., different layers of it. So otherwise, if you're just focusing on one feature or functionality, you may be just aware of that feature or functionality, but you may not know what were the previous steps or next steps, etc. And because of that, it becomes very difficult for you to grab the overall knowledge, because it's all bits and pieces and it's not in a particular flow. It doesn't flow like a story. But when you're doing it right from the beginning, it flows more like a story, and it's easy for you to understand the entire concept. So now, coming back to what you will learn. So here, since we just have the requirement, what we are going to do, we are going to start with building the data model around it. So even before we do the data model, we have to plan for an ERD sort of a thing, the entity relationship diagram. So we will finalize which entities are required. We'll have to figure out what sort of relationships we need in those entities, and then we will build an entity relationship diagram or ERD diagram for that. So your learning starts from there. Then we will understand how to build custom apps in Salesforce. We will understand how to build those objects or the entities and the fields in Salesforce. Then we will be building relationships, because as I said, there will be objects or the entities. In Salesforce, we call these entities as objects. So sometimes when I'm talking, or when I use the terminology object, it's same as entity in an ERD. For those who are new to Salesforce, I'm pretty sure those who are already using Salesforce would be much more familiar with this terminology, object. So yeah, objects and fields. So object is more like a database table for those again who are new to Salesforce, and field is more like a column in that table. Okay, so building relationships, different types of relationships that we have in Salesforce. There is a lookup relationship, there's master detail relationship. We'll work with all types of fields, if not all, at least the important ones, of course. There are auto numbers, roll-ups, etc. So we'll work with those. We will talk about creating validation rules, validating the data, etc. We'll work on automating some of the logic, see how we can use some of the automations without writing a single line of code. So there is a tool in Salesforce which is called flows, and using this flow or flow builder, we can automate a lot of logics without writing code. Then we will use a bit of Apex in that. So Apex is enhanced option available for the developers to automate logics, or control the business processes using code. So we will use that as well. We will also use some custom UIs, custom user interfaces, using Lightning Web Components. We'll build some reports and dashboards around it. And we'll also try and see, if we can create some 2 or 3 personas and understand the overall user permission, because you will definitely need to manage some user permission. For example, there can be some users in the hotel who should be able to make the bookings, but they should not be able to, let's say, cancel the bookings. Or there should be some users in the hotel who should be able to see the bookings, but they should not be able to maybe make the booking. So something like that. So we will talk about, how do we manage those users, permissions, personas, profiles, permission sets, etc. I'll talk more about those things, once we get into that. We will also talk a little about, the roles and hierarchies in case there are multiple users. And there is this concept of, who gets to see whose data, or if there is a role hierarchy sort of thing. We'll try to, for example, there is a head office. If there is a group of hotels, there's an entire chain. So staff of each hotel gets to see their own hotel bookings and reservations, and they're able to manage it. But if there is a head office staff, he should be able to manage everyone's data, etc. So those things would come into picture. We will also, look into record sharing mechanism in Salesforce. We'll try and use custom metadata, which is a bit of advanced feature in, Salesforce, and a few more, things. So as I said, it's going to be we will talk about this app, we'll keep on thinking, or we'll keep on ideating about this, and we will keep on building it. So if we can think of some more things while we are building it, we will add those things as well. So at least these are the things which we'll definitely add and talk. In addition to this, of course, if we want to add or build more functionalities on top of it as we move along, we'll keep on adding those. Okay. All right, so that is the thing. Now, as I said, the first thing for us would be the data model. So for any app, for any new app which is being built, not just in Salesforce, for anything, take any other technology also, things do start with the data model. So if you talk about the MVC framework, the model view controller, so it always starts with the model. So first thing that we do is we try and understand the requirement, and then we try and understand what all entities we will require. Okay, and then on top of that we will be building the logics, user interfaces, etc. But the core of my app is always going to be the data model. So this is going to be the data model. Don't get confused, I'm going to explain this entire data model to you. It may look a little intimidating initially, but it's not that. I'll walk you through this entire data model, and it should be fairly simple to understand this. So initially we'll keep this data model as it is. So if you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 entities which I'm planning to begin with. These are the initial data objects that we will work with, and I have also listed a few fields for each of the object. So these are the objects and fields which we are going to use overall for now. As I said, as we move further on this app, as we continue to build further on this, we may require a few additional additional objects or entities. I did not want to put too many things on this slide or on this data model screen for now, because I felt that it would be a little confusing for you. So yeah, this is going to be the core data model, I would say. In addition to this, of course, we would require a few more, and as and when we require, we will keep on adding those, or we'll keep on creating those. Okay, makes sense? All right, so let's get started with looking into this data model, and we'll try and understand this data model. So first one is the hotel entity. So as I said, this is a group of hotels. So there will be an entity where all the details of the properties or the hotels will be listed. Okay, so if there are, say, this group of hotel can be, let's say, it has got 50 properties. So all those 50 properties get listed. So we need a separate entity for that. And this is where we are going to list, all the hotels which are available. So, okay, now what all we have here? So, for this hotel object, we have got the name of the hotel. We have got the entire detail around the address. Let's say the, street address, city, state, country, postal code, or, stuff like that. That is there. If there's a contact phone number for that hotel, if there's a contact email ID for that, number of rooms at a high level, and if the hotel is currently accepting booking. Yeah, so these are the details that we will enter. Again, for these fields also, these are the initial set of fields which I've listed here. Once we start building functionalities, we may need a few additional fields, and as and when those are required, we will keep on adding those. All right. The last field, accepting booking, would help us control if, for example, if out of 50 properties that this group of hotel has, if one hotel is going through renovation work and it is not accepting booking at that point of time, so using this checkbox, we can automatically ensure that no one is able to make a booking for that hotel because there is a renovation work going on, etc. Right? So your app automatically starts blocking or preventing bookings or reservations happening in that hotel during that particular period of time. So this can be a useful thing for us. The second important entity is definitely the rooms. In room we have okay. So before I get into the fields for the room, there's one thing that you may have noticed, that for each of the entity, I have actually called out a field which is called ID, which is the Salesforce ID. Now there is a field. Every time you work with an object in Salesforce automatically creates a field called ID, which acts more as a primary key for that particular object. So we do not really need to go and create additional ID field from our side until and unless we have a requirement of creating an ID in a format which we want, because Salesforce IDs will follow their own structure or format, and which will be an alphanumeric key. But always it may not be useful for the business. So if business wants to generate a separate kind of a key or a separate kind of a number, unique number for each record in that particular entity, they can certainly do that. But by default, Salesforce provides this ID. So what I've done is, in all the entities, you would see that ID field. So that ID is primarily referring to the Salesforce ID. In addition to that, you will have details in the room. First of all, the first detail that you need is, of course, the room belongs to which hotel. So it will be a connection to the hotel entity to indicate that this room is part of this particular hotel. Then there will be a room number, and then there can be a room type. As I said earlier, there can be different types of rooms. There can be rooms for staying, there can be meeting rooms, conference rooms, ballrooms, whatever. So there can be room types. And then there can be available checkbox. So it is pretty similar to the availability checkbox that we had for the hotel. So if a renovation is going on, or for some reason the room is not available for next 1 month, so then that checkbox can be turned off, so that we can control our logics in terms of no one is able to make bookings for that room for that particular duration, etc. So that is the reason why we have this. In case and then the next thing would be putting the capacity of the room. So that will be a number. Again, how many people can stay there. Again, if it's a room, you can possibly put 2 or 3. If it's a meeting room, you may have to put capacity, let's say 100, 200, whatever it is, right? Again, these are just the initial set of fields. We will see if we need more fields, we'll add those. The next thing or the next entity would be about the customer or the guests. Customers, basically. Guest, I think, will come into later. The next one is about the next entity that we are going to talk about is about the customers. So customers are the people who are the customers of the hotels. It can be an individual, it can be a company. So those customer details also need to be captured. So any hotel would be interested in keeping a track of all the customers who are, or prospects also, maybe someone who is willing to book a room or someone who has already made booking. So those details will be kept. So simple specific details about the customer, I have kept it very simple: names, address, city, state, country, postal code, phone, email. That's it. For now, I'm just keeping it very simple. Next entity is reservations. So reservations are the actual bookings. So reservation is going to be a junction between a room and a customer. So a room will be booked by a customer. For example, if I go and book a room in a hotel, so reservation is on my name for that particular room, right? So that is the reason why this is a separate entity, and it is a junction or a child of both these entities. All right. So it will connect to the room, and it will also connect to the customer. And then there will be a reservation ID. So each reservation needs a unique reservation ID. For that, we can use an auto number field. There can be a check-in date and time, check-out date and time for the reservation. There can be a reservation status. So sometimes you may have reservation on hold, confirmed, something like that. So we will have status of the reservation and payment status. So let's say there's a pending payment or partial payment done by the customer. So we can use this field to track the status of the payment. The next one that we have is the guest object or the guest entity. Now in this object, what are we going to capture? We are going to capture the actual guest. So this is slightly different from the customer. So I can be a customer of the hotel because I have made the booking. But when I check in into the hotel, and if there are 2 more people who are going to stay in the hotel with me, so then they need to keep track of all those 3 guests. So there is one customer, which is me. So I'm the customer, but the hotel also needs to keep track of all the guests who occupied the property. So this is going to be a separate entity, and here we will possibly keep track of all the details of the guests. So these guests can be associated to the reservations. So for each reservation, you can have the details of the guest, which all guests came in and occupied the property for that particular reservation. All right. So you can have okay. So as I said, this is going to be a lookup, or this is going to be connected to the reservation. Other than that, you will have details of the guest like first name, last name. You can have the address, complete address, details of the guest, email, phone number of the guest. And along with that, you must have noticed in hotels, usually when a guest checks in, they try to keep track of, or try to store information about their ID proofs. So there are 2 fields which I have included here. One is the ID proof type, where you can possibly they will be able to select what type of ID proof the guest is submitting. It can be, let's say, the passport, PAN card, or whatever it is. And ID proof number, so where they can capture the ID proof exactly, the number of the ID proof, right? So this is the overall data model which we are going to use for building. And as I said, this is the core data model. We will use this one to build the initial app. And on top of that, then we will start including a lot of features, functionality. So we will build the app, we will build these entities, and then we will build the user interfaces for all these entities, so that the hotel staff can go and make the bookings, etc., or enter all these details into the app.